Okay, we're back. We're live. We're ThinkTech. We're Friday. It's, what is it, 3 o'clock? In the middle of our Friday broadcasting schedule here at ThinkTech Studios in the core of downtown Pioneer Plaza. We're doing Community Matters because they do.
They do.
They do?
Yes, they do.
Okay. And our special guests are Martin Despang, who is an architect professor, both an architect and a professor of architecture at UH Architecture School, which is way up near that crossroad. Where is that? It's on University Avenue.
University and Metcalf, sort of roughly, yeah.
Yeah. There have been many great programs in there having nothing to do with architecture. Mm-hmm. That's because you have a nice architecturally designed theater kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. That's an excellent point.
Okay, and we have Ali Yamashita. That's my wife's maiden name.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And she's an activist. She advocates activism, but we'll get into that.
Thank you.
So the first thing you do is tell people who you are and why you're here. Let's break that down. Who are you? Martin?
Well, I'm Martin. I'm here because of Jay, because he had me here before a couple of weeks ago, where I was talking with Howard Week about air conditioning buildings, or the opposite of that, which was our point. And so we talked a little bit, chatted a little bit after that, and you said, this is all about lifestyle, so why don't we talk about lifestyle? And that's basically what we're here to talk about.
I changed my mind since though, Martin.
All right, you didn't let me know.
I want to talk about human space. I want to talk about space and humanity.
All right.
All the interconnection. Can you handle it all?
I can handle it.
All right, let's do that. Sold.
Okay.
You sold me.
All right, I think you answered my question. Ali, it's more complicated for you, because I don't know what an advocate activist is. Is that a person who advocates for activism? I mean, don't activists sometimes advocate against things? In fact, they frequently do, I think.
Correct.
How in the world did you get to be an advocate activist person?
Because I met this guy.
He didn't say that that's what he was. He shaped that specially for you.
Yes, he did. Yes. I actually met Martin at the BIA show last year, and I was working for Synetric in marketing.
Synetric?
Yes.
It's sold.
Yes, you.
Yesterday.
You're very well informed.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, yes.
We can talk about that.
Yes, we can. So I was running a marketing team for the Synetric, and then I ran into him for the BIA show for his H-home. Fell in love with his H-home, and somehow here I am.
Okay, we're going to connect all this up. You know, it seems to be unconnected, but we're going to connect it. First of all, what is an H-home?
Well, H-home is the answer to your request changing the subject title, because it's about human space and appropriateness. It's a project that I did with my department in rethinking the way we live in Hawaii. And it's a very interesting project, because where I come from, if you hear a little accent, that's a German accent. So I'm from Germany.
All the time I thought it was from Cincinnati.
Yeah, that's close enough, exactly. So I moved my way here, moved west through Lincoln, Nebraska, Tucson, Arizona, and finally here, the best place I've ever been.
Boy, if we had more time, Martin, I'd want to know all about that.
Yeah. So I came basically, all these places were wall architecture areas. And so I came here and I said, I don't need a wall anymore. All I need is a roof, is an umbrella that keeps the rain out and keeps the sun away. And that's all we need. And that's basically what the H-home is in a very simplified way. And maybe Ali talks a little bit more why it appealed to her.
Yeah.
The Ohana.
Yeah.
He had this structure in the BIA, actually a model, a rendering, and I was actually initially brought here from Japan and Hong Kong, and my mother wanted me to be raised in nature. And for his structure and the model and the rendering, it had 4 quadrants, and in the center it actually had nature implemented into a structure that would basically incorporate the whole family, as well as your grandparents, everybody has their own section, and the nature is implemented into your house, which is what we need in Hawaii, you know.
Well, I'm really interested in that. Why the 4 quadrants? Is that some sort of, symbolic division?
Well, we did our research. Again, I came from somewhere else. I had to do some pretty intensive research, and so we with the students, and we found out that actually the Hawaiians have always materialized each human event and activity with an individual structure. And then they gather them around a communal gathering space. And so we very critically looked at local communities and asked the people if that's still the case, and they said yes, very much. In fact, our carport is our lanai. That's our most important space and place. So they basically did that. And at the same time, we wanted to see if it still makes sense to build that way. And it makes sense because you want to basically sort of decentralize a home here, whereas in the cold climate you want to keep it as compact as you can. So for the most energy efficient building standard, energy efficiency standard is the passive house, and basically like the sphere is the most ideal form for energy efficiency in cold climates. Not everyone wants to live in a bowl, so if you cut the bowl or the sphere in half, you get an igloo. For a good reason. And so here it's different. Here it's different than
it's all about geometry.
It is. And here you want to basically disperse. You want to spread out. It's like the bird and its feathers. You want to let the breeze go through. And this is why the building is broken up into these quadrants, has courtyards that lets the breeze through. Yeah. So that's
when. So, but I'm reminded of Samoa. Samoa, a given house is really a bunch of houses, and you go between one and the other, and if it rains, it's okay. And so you have the sense of, we're getting to the topic after a while, sense of space, a sense of openness, a sense of freedom, where your home is integrated with the environment. You're part of the environment, and you have. You have the ability to, your home, the environment comes into your home.
Yes, exactly.
Your home is only visiting with the environment, but it's the environment that counts.
We should get JS to help us promoting this project.
So what happened to the H house? It's still there?
It's there for everyone who wants it, basically, is there. Ali has some interesting idea from her multiple business backgrounds. Maybe you share one of them?
Please.
Well, I work with Synetric as well as Heineken and Nespresso, and these are all companies that...
Heineken?
Yes.
This is the Dutch beer?
Correct, yes.
What's the relationship with Heineken and the H house? I got it. H.
and the green. They're both green.
Okay.
But he actually told me an interesting story about Heineken and sustainability and ecology about the founder of Heineken, which you can actually reiterate. Yeah.
So Heineken had very early in the history of his company basically had the idea to make his product, or what's left from it, the bottle, more purposeful. And it was unfortunately at the time where he already had sold his company to a more corporate leadership. But he was at the point to say, let's change production and let's produce it as a brick, in form of a brick, so we can use it as a building material. See, because if we think about the abundance of building materials, maybe you want to elaborate a little bit on what we have on the islands or what we don't.
Not very much wood left. Yeah.
True. It's like Easter Island already.
Yeah.
Nothing left.
Yeah. So what could the bottle be?
A square brick.
The bottle is
a building material.
The bottle becomes a brick.
Yes. Yeah. Well, he wanted to manufacture the bottle.
You would take bottles.
Yes.
And make bricks out of them.
Yeah. Well, the bottles would be the brick.
Yes.
Would
exactly.
be the synonym of a brick or the equivalent of a brick. So you can basically make a house out of your Heineken bottles.
Would you be able to tell that it was a Heineken bottle?
Well, it's abstracted at that time, so it wouldn't look like a bottle anymore because it has a bond. At that time, the CEOs of whoever he sold the company said, this guy is weird and needs to stay away from business. He doesn't know what he's doing. But there's an early kind of tradition of basically business people into innovative building materials and industries.
But I mean, chemically or manufacturing-wise, how would you make a Heineken bottle into this could be a movie, a Heineken bottle into a brick? How do you do that?
I think the point is repurposing as materials, more importantly, and going you know, less impact and having, you know, with plastics and all materials, especially living on an island, just utilizing what we already have in reference to Martin's architecture and his philosophy, having a low impact and less footprint on our Earth.
That's why I wanted to talk to you, actually.
So what she said is with the we can say upcycling, right? So the bottle was a bottle just for the quick, you know, kick.
And then throw it away.
And throw it away. So if they wanted to produce the bottle not in a round cylindric form, but in a square form.
Square.
So then if you have a square bottle, you use it like a brick.
Do you fill it up?
You could if you want to achieve thermal mass, but then you lose the translucency, so that light can basically pass
light,
through,
of course.
You know? So it's
How
an
about
interesting
water?
idea. You know, you obviously would have mortar, and it's, you know, we're...
No, water.
Water?
Fill it up with water.
Yeah, there's actually, there are these old kind of Trumby walls that the early eco-pioneers did, these water walls basically, you know, also more in cold climates to passively heat their buildings.
Oh, I want to talk to you about it. We don't have enough time.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, we have to take a break. Can you tolerate it?
We
Okay,
sure
we're going
can.
to take a short break.
All right.
This is a little structure among the non-structure. And when we come back, we're going to find out what it is to be an advocate activist. We're not going to let her go on that. This is ThinkTech Talks here on a given Friday. We're talking about community matters because they do. We're talking about global style of life, but it's a very loose definition of what we're going to cover here with Martin Despang and Ali Yamashita. We'll be right back. Castle and Cooke, Hawaii. Investing in Hawaii, creating communities, and providing for the needs of our state. Collateral Analytics, empowering the real estate industry to make better informed property investment decisions. The Foreign Trade Zone, bringing the benefits of the Foreign Trade Zone programs to Hawaii businesses and entrepreneurs. Galen Ho, a senior executive of BAE Systems, a global defense, security, and aerospace company. Hawaiian Electric Company, and its affiliates Maui Electric and Hawaii Electric Light Company on Hawaii Island. The Hawaii Energy Policy Forum, incorporating diverse perspectives to design a flexible and forward-looking energy strategy. Hawaii Energy, the state's energy and efficiency program created to help Hawaii's residents and businesses adopt a clean energy lifestyle. Hawaii Gas, helping Hawaii achieve its transition to clean energy and a better energy future. Hawaii Pacific Health, bringing technology and teamwork together to transform healthcare in Hawaii. The High Tech Development Corporation, attached to DBED, is the state's leading technology agency. The SHIDLER Family Foundation, supporting educational, cultural, and charitable organizations, including ThinkTech. Okay, we're back. We said we would be back, and we're back with Community Matters and a discussion of global style of life with Martin Despang and Ali Yamashita. And the monkey was on her back because we asked her, and she hasn't yet told us, what is it to be an advocate activist, okay? Ready, Ali?
So I entered the arena of life actually as marketing, brand ambassador, ambassador of various companies and products. But at this point in my life, I am an advocate and activist for companies that are sustainable, are ecological, and doing purposeful and very powerful movements to making our life and humanity better.
Example.
So I work with a company called Nespresso, and just as a marketing advocate and selling their product, and their company is extremely conscious and active in recycling all of their products to recycling the panels of their coffee machines, and the products that you repurchase, which is a single capsule of coffee, which is actually sourced with farmers that uses the AAA sustainability program, and they like 75% of their sourcing is using the AAA standard. So.
So you advocate for them in the marketplace?
Yes.
You're not out there with pitchforks or anything?
No, I'm one-on-one with the consumers and engaging with you and him and people like my own family, and in basically educating them on the products that they're purchasing will be green. I don't know, green, ecological.
Yeah.
Will be repurposed.
Okay, so you guys are in the same place on this.
Yeah, very much.
I mean, no,
but we need more people on board. That's our point.
Okay, what do we have to do if we want to get on board? I mean, tell me how I have to reform my thinking.
I believe, and we're going to use a little bit, I'm going to show this here to the audience so you guys can basically go online and look it up. So if you use my firm's website, Despang Architekten, so DESPANG-ARCHITEKTEN, which is the more complicated way to say architect. That's how we Germans
There's a
are.
TE at the end.
TEN, yes, at the end.
There's a TE for Deutschland.
Yeah.
Right? That's just your email.
Yeah.
I really love that, by the way.
Yeah. Architect. Yeah. And also, when I'm saying I mean we, because I'm an Ohana business as well. I do it with my father Günther and with my sister Cynthia. And Cynthia runs our Munich branch, and my dad runs the Dresden branch. We're a global company.
I love that too.
But we are on a very small scale, and I think this is kind of the key. If you look through our website, we basically categorized our work by, which traces back to the theme you wished, to human activities and events. For us as architecture is basically how people, when Ali is talking, how we behave, what we do, how conscious we are. That becomes spatialized, and that eventually becomes a building in its form. And we are trying to, which is very hard, and this is the first time I ever had the chance to talk about that, so thank you for that. It's about the bigger picture, and it's about the comprehensiveness of all these actions of lifestyle, which was our working title, or styles of life. If we do all these things, that we live close to where we work, and we buy our food locally, and we have our children go to school around the block, and then each and every building does that in a bioclimatic or post-fossil way that doesn't use fossil energies anymore. We get pretty close to what we try to describe as sustainability.
I think all architects should be in this. You know, the old, what do they call it, value engineering approach, wrong. You know, we just save money, don't care, you know, build a box. Seen that so many times, look around. And Hawaii is way behind on this kind of thing, considering that we have this fabulous weather and this openness, you know, that we could enjoy. And it doesn't matter if you have a crowded community or not. It doesn't matter what the density is. You can still enjoy these principles and make your community so much more livable. But building a 39-story box is just an offense, I think.
Yes. Not living in a box, definitely not. And Martin's architecture implements green infrastructure and rain gardens and being able to sustain yourself and grow your own vegetables, not have to go always to the market, especially since everything gets shipped in. And they're always kind of having fights at the docks. So what if a natural disaster? I was in Hurricane Iniki, and we had no access to food. So you should have your own food. Even in a 39-foot box, you can have aquaponics and on your roof, green gardens.
Aquaponics has got to be part of your whole system. And it's really interesting. So I've been doing some work on aquaponics, making movies about aquaponics. There was a big aquaponics conference here on Saturday, very interesting and successful, in my view. Anyway, one of the things about aquaponics is you want to deliver aquaponic products to a restaurant. And then one guy said what I was thinking about the whole time. Why do you have to deliver it to the restaurant? Make it in the restaurant. Distributed aquaponics.
Well, that's kind of, you're right on with that. Well, we come from very different backgrounds. Ali, well, maybe you share a little bit where you grew up more specifically, in which two environments.
Oh, well, half my life I grew up in Hanalei on Kauai, and half my life I grew up in Waiheke in the concrete jungle. So
well, you get schizophrenic.
Yeah. So that I crave what Martin is endeavoring to do for the overall, our whole island and for the people, to give us a sustainable existence and put us back into nature. Yeah.
So let me talk about the other thing that made me think of this, topic to foist on you.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
I just came from a shoot just minutes ago, so I was late to start the show at HPU. Okay, that's the other school. And they had a whole bunch of kids, and they were making, it doesn't matter, a short movie. Okay, and there must have been 10 people in this little room. With lights and reflectors and diffusers and all this stuff, and there was somebody sort of managing, a floor manager was managing all this stuff. And every time they changed the light, the set changed. And they were trying to achieve a certain look and feel about this movie. And I said to myself, that's just like architecture. You tweak the bit just that much, little tiny elegant change, and all of a sudden, your environment, your style of life, your psychology, the quality of your daily existence changes because you flicked a little bic on a light. And so if you flick a little bic on a wall, or an angle, or a skylight, some element in the architecture, you are having a profound effect on the life of the individual who is going to be there, working or living there. This is a great responsibility. With great vision comes great responsibility. And how do you sleep at night, Martin?
I don't.
It's true.
But it's fun, and so this is really the first. Usually, if you go on the website, we've been doing. So let's go through these typologies, how we call them. This is like human. Event and activity, we already talked about. You could basically, you have to sleep at times, and then you have to eat at home. So this is what that typology of dwelling basically covers.
The four quadrants.
The 4 quadrants,
So what are the 4 pieces in the quadrants?
Well, you want to talk how you would use them, the 4 quadrants?
Make me a house. Build me a house.
Yeah.
Well, I have 3 very individual, totally different people. I have a soldier in my house, and I have a mother, and I have myself. 2 very creative individuals, and then a soldier. So with his architecture, we would have basically our own dwellings as far as our own existence, and then come, if we want to see each other, when my brother's not getting up at 3 in the morning, and then we're going to sleep at 3 in the morning. You have the center, the Ohana meeting space. So.
Of course, a meeting space. Yeah, so you have to have privacy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you have to have a meeting space. And then you have to have sort of connection with the environment in every place you can do. I was involved in a transaction years ago for a house on Diamond Head, a fancy house. It actually should have been more expensive than it was in this transaction. But it was beautiful. It was with, the rock and open places. Very little of the house was actually locked up. There were not a lot of doors in the house. Yeah. And the breeze at Diamond Head is really nice. And it was like heaven on earth kind of house.
It is. And this is heaven, and I think this is the way it used to be, and I think it's the way it should be again. And I think, coming from all these other places I've been, which I will never talk bad about, they were great places too, but this is the place to do all that. We would never have a heat stroke here like I had to struggle with in Arizona, and we would never get frostbites as I had in Nebraska and in Germany. So this is really the place to do it. And I think, the bigger vision is like for America, the United States, Hawaii could really become that kind of demonstration case study where you could do all that. Let's just go to another component is transportation, right? So if you say, so we've done kindergartens next to where the people live. We have done local community grocery store facilities, which you can all see on the website. So basically you try to do everything walkable within your neighborhood. And you do everything in each building that is basically not consuming any fossil energy. But then every once in a while you want to travel. So how do you do that?
And you mean lock up?
And you know, we're currently finishing a project for the city of Bochum, which is a canopy for the subway they have in Bochum. So
what city is this?
Bochum is in the middle of Germany. That's it's a central city in Germany. Where if I learn here, you know, that this island pretty much had a pretty robust trolley and tram and track infrastructure, you know, we just, you know, reactivate that. And basically, I believe that the adoption or the import of the combustion engine here, meaning the automobile, was probably the biggest mistake that could have been made on the island. Because I mean, talking Waikiki, I live there by choice because I want to be where the water is, and I don't want to live in the mountains and then having to go down to the beach. And I swim out as far as I can, and if I'm brave enough, on Queens Beach, to the point where the water is absolutely blue and I have no noise anymore. And I stop my machines and I just rest there in the water and
suspended
and look at the suspended and look at the scenery, look at the mountains, and I see the artificial mountains of Waikiki. And I imagine if we could retrofit that into an organism, like a natural organism, like you say, using aquaponics, using hydroponics, using vegetation, taking the fenestration off. You're talking about the breeze going through. What is this glass doing on the high-rise? Take it off, find other ways
air
to
conditioning, a pox on air conditioning.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I learned early.
But your work is cut out for you, both of you. You know, you have a long way to go before you get real traction.
Yeah.
This, and,
we're aware of that.
Yeah.
That's why she's an activist. You know, that says it.
That's why you're both activists.
An advocate.
But I know your secret, Martin.
Which?
Okay, it's spatial arbitrage, and I will tell you what I mean by that right after this break. That's Martin Despang.
I like his language.
Ali Yamashita, and they're talking about global style of life, which is still a loose definition for what we're talking about here on ThinkTech Talks. I'm Jay Fidell. We'll be right back after the short break.
Hi, I'm David Day. I'm the host of ThinkTech Asia. What we do is produce shows that have to do with international business, foreign policy, national security, and geopolitics. We run our shows on Thursday afternoons at 4 o'clock. I'll see you.
Hi, I'm Attila Saras, host of Next Big Thing, the ThinkTech show, where we give people a place with great ideas, a chance to share them with the world. Be sure to tune in this Friday from 4 to 4:50 p.m., and I will see you there.
Aloha, I'm Maria Kashem of ThinkTech Hawaii, and I want to tell you about our ThinkTech talk shows. If you didn't know it, ThinkTech streams video and audio for all of its shows live on the internet from 2 to 5 p.m. every weekday afternoon, and we replay them all night long on Ustream.tv. Visit ThinkTechHawaii.com for our live stream and YouTube links. Raise your awareness on ThinkTech. I'm Maria Kashem, and I'll see you.
Fidell. Aloha, I'm Jay Fidell of ThinkTech. We have some news for you. In addition to our ThinkTech TV show and our Asia in Review show on Olelo 54, as of January 1st, we're adding Community Matters to play also 2 hours a week. Check out ThinkTechHawaii.com for the specific times of each of these shows. We hope you enjoy all three. Mahalo, I'm Jay Fidell. Okay, we're back, we're live, we're ThinkTech Talks. We're talking about Community Matters, because they do. We're talking about global style of life with Martin Despang and Ali Yamashita. And, you know, one of the sad things about this whole format that we use is they don't get a chance to hear what we talk about during the breaks, which could be the best part, you know. My mother used to talk about the chelzel. You know chelzel? Chelzel is that little part of the chicken.
Oh, really?
In the chicken neck.
Okay.
And she would always say the chelzel is the best part.
And that's a German word?
It's a Yiddish word.
Oh, Yiddish. Yeah,
Did you know that the German language was based on the Yiddish language?
Yeah. I better know that one, right?
Anyway, so the best part is the breaks. And what we're talking about during the breaks is this whole thing about spatial arbitrage, which I don't think I ever explained it to anybody, but spatial arbitrage. And Martin is trained in Germany, family in Germany, company in Germany and in the US, and going back and forth, transmitting ideas, transmitting creative juices, you know, across the miles, coming up with, you know, things that are better than the sum of the parts. And I believe from what you've said today and what you said last time is that your heart is here, and you're bent on making a contribution here to a better quality of spatial life. Maybe that's the title, A Better Quality of Spatial Life. And this is a place that deserves it. This is a place that has the resources for it. And so that it sounds to me like ultimately, if not already, that's a life work for you. So I'm thinking spatial arbitrage is merely taking space ideas of quality of life, quality of spatial life from one place, and then blending it, coalescing it with those from another place, and coming up with an optimal solution that works best, at least in the second place. So, I mean, that's a great contribution for Hawaii. The problem, as I mentioned, is you got a long way to go, because we have not done very well in terms of, just look at the ticky-tack all over Hawaii. And it's one thing to have a plantation house, like in Kauai. My wife is from Kauai. Those houses were beautiful. Those greenhouses with the corrugated roofs, the wooden clapboard walls.
The winds were perfect. You didn't need an AC.
It was ideal. It was an ideal time. But it's past now, and everybody has come in and done their version of what Hawaii architecture should be, and it's often wrong. And here we are with a state of wrong. Hawaii, the state of wrong architecture.
I like your honesty and criticism about that.
What are you going to do for us?
Well, keep on doing what we do. Hopefully you have us again. We can talk about each and every of these typologies themselves, and we would love to do it. But I think we got to get the word out. I mean, I'm hopefully going to achieve a higher level of academic freedom soon. I really want to use it to be more a street worker, be more out there, spread the word. Education, communication, I think is the key. But then we need case studies, we need to build, we need to be courageous enough. Someone has to start somewhere, and I think that's what we need to do in all these areas, basically start implementing and doing it. And we've also been looking very critically at the continuous kind of building boom here. You see Kaka'ako being totally changed and transformed. I'm sure had multiple people talking about that. From an architectural point of view, in talking sustainability, the most sustainable building is actually the one you don't build. But that's kind of problematic. Like that's problematic for architects, right? A little bit.
The best kilowatt is the kilowatt you save.
Exactly. And the second one is actually the one that already exists. And maybe you want to add a little bit to that.
Which one is
subject
that?
Matter of repurposing. Upcycling. As far you can upcycle a product, and you can upcycle an urban fabric, right? I mean, what could Waikiki, where you grew up?
What's an urban fabric?
An urban fabric is a system of people living together, very simplified, and there is something about as I guess problematic or outdated, Waikiki, for example, has become. Actually, nothing beats density as far as efficiency and effectiveness. So if we allow ourselves to consolidate these existing urban fabrics and infuse innovation into them and make them work in a self-sufficient way, which the technology is there and the systems are there, you just got to implement them. Then you basically, you can only grow to a certain extent in an urban fabric. What you can't cover, you basically keep the country and you let it produce, and it basically feeds the city, and we do it back on tracks, right? We bring it in like the old sugarcane, and then you have a system in place that basically works. So this is kind of the bigger vision that I have every day, and I once heard that if you have a vision, you need to see the doctor. When I have a vision, I need to swim out and look at the panoramics of Waikiki, and I see
it's another kind of medicine.
I see that happening.
But how do you stop the bad architecture from happening? I have this vision of that man standing in Tiananmen Square stopping the tank. Stop! Don't do that!
I was just asking you about that.
That's me. You both can see me being that.
Yeah. But I was asking you the same thing. How do you stop the bad architecture from happening?
How do you do that?
I think we can only do by better example. That's what I'm saying. I think we need to have.
I'm a bank. I had this conversation last night with a banker. I'm a bank.
Yeah.
You come to me with a building, say a building in Kaka'ako, that is going to make money, lots of money. And you ask me if I'll invest in the bank, rather in the building, or you know, invest in loans to buyers of these condo units. That doesn't sound like good architecture, just that word alone. Condo. And the bank says, of course, I'm going to invest in the building that's likely to be financially successful. And you tell me you have a new idea, I got to invest in the old one because I know it's tried and true. So the bank is not necessarily in agreement with you. And the bank has the money.
It's a house that is sustainable, actually an entire building that reproduces, not just sits there and is depreciating,
so,
the earth.
Yeah. So the highest energy efficiency standard in the world comes from Germany. It's called passive house.
What is it?
A passive house.
What
They call that. Yeah, it's a not smart term because usually passive is, you know, in our languages related to being on the couch and drinking beer or whatever. But what it tries to say is that it only uses passive systems to condition itself. So in a colder climate, a passive house uses the passive solar to basically heat the building in the winter, and then it insulates everything really well to keep that heat. And you know, it's almost the standard in Germany for public clients for sure, and even in the private sector. And society has understood that if I plan to have my building around for a little longer, which we all do, that this is an investment into the future. So the money I have to invest more pays off after 6 years. And after the 6th year, my building makes me money, and this is
because of the energy.
And this is what, this is what a banker likes to hear. If something makes money, and if I'm thinking about high rises, you know, I think one of the most tragic things that have happened here is the adoption of the International Building Code in the building industry, because it basically, with that, imports everything, and we build to standards that are not from here. So if I'm thinking about a high-rise, the higher you go, the more wind you have, the better breeze you have. So if I leave all this glass away, simplified speaking, you know, then, you know, I save some money, right? Because glass costs. I got to ship it in. I got to put it in place.
And sometimes it falls out.
Sometimes it falls out. So all it needs is it's critical thinking, and it needs it all levels. So we need the code people working with us, you know, to make these visions become reality.
What we need to do, don't you think, is we have to train a generation of architects here who will carry the word out into every corner of these islands. And the other thing we have to do is we have to take a short break. Okay, sorry about that. This is ThinkTech Talks. We're here on Community Matters because they do. We're talking about global style of life and more, spatial arbitrage, and so on, with Martin Despang and Ali Yamashita. We'll be right back after this short and final break.
Aloha, I'm Nicole Horry for ThinkTech. For nearly half a century, the Hawaii Foreign Trade Zone No. 9 has brought the benefits of the Foreign Trade Zone program to Hawaii businesses and entrepreneurs. DBET, the Department of Business, Economic Development and Tourism, operates Hawaii's Foreign Trade Zone program to encourage international business and economic development. The Foreign Trade Zone's mission is to increase the amount of international trading activity in Hawaii, thereby providing employment opportunities for the residents of our island state. For more information, see ftz9.org. I'm Nicole Horry. Mahalo.
Okay, we're back. We're live. We're talking about all manner of things, including today, Chelsel. And during the break, Ali Yamashita had some ideas that she wanted to share, and she was responding to my suggestion that Martin's obligation is to create an army of architects who are similarly situated. What's your thought?
And my thought is also reaching everyone, not just architects.
Oh no. Wait. Okay, we're getting mic'd up.
How does this go?
Yeah, you've got to, can I have the clamp? Take the clamp out. Okay, we're going to do this on the air. This is my favorite part of the show.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, now you're good. No. Good. All right. That's it. Good.
Okay. Everybody has to be on board for the message, not just his students and architects, but the younger generations. We start from when they're in kindergarten and influence our parents, our uncles, our brothers, our sisters, and teach the message with using the innovative technology as well as integrating the old HAWAIIAN methods, indigenous technologies, methods, so that we can all be on the same page for our earth, our life, the quality, our food, our water, our land.
You're suggesting there's already a movement.
There is a movement.
Tell me about the movement.
I feel like we're all spread out. Yeah,
the movement is fragmented.
There's all these fragmented movements, and we all just need to all come together, especially on an island. We can so easily. Yeah.
Where does the movement live? I mean, is its heart in the School of Architecture on Metcalf?
I think its heart is in the heart of us all. We all know that we need quality food, quality water. We pay for water, and actually it comes free from the sky. We could catch it, and in green gardens or rain gardens, and then we could prevent erosion in our streets. We're constantly having water main breaks, and with the right architecture, with the right.
Don't you think it'd be a good idea if we had a symbolic center of the movement? Now, some people thought, I'd be interested in your view of this, that Kaka'ako was going to be exactly that. It was going to be the younger generation, the millennials. There were going to be shops. It was going to be like Greenwich Village in New York. It was going to be the creative, out-of-the-box thinkers. It was going to be the local kids who were determined to make this a better place in every way, all the things you identified. That's what a lot of people thought, they still think, about Kaka'ako. But is Kaka'ako going to realize that with those big, tall, 39-story buildings?
That was my dream. That is my dream, exactly what you just touched on. And actually, we attended one of the community meetings for Civil Beat, not the Howard Hughes buildings, but the Kamehameha. I think I walked in and accidentally turned off the lights on everybody, which is symbolic.
Yeah, but it was a subconscious thing you did.
Yes.
Trying to make a point.
Yes, I was trying to make a point. So actually that question was brought up to the developers, if that were going to be the case, and it doesn't sound like it will be, which we need to fight for that to materialize, because I think that's the key.
Yeah. Well, Martin, you know that cities are organic and they have fabrics, which I just learned here. And I think I hear you say, you're agreeing with the notion that you have to have a symbolic exemplar of how this is supposed to work, so everybody can see it actually working. So if I give you the city and county of Honolulu, in fact, I give you the whole state, I give it to you, and I say, find me a place and give me a path for creating an exemplar where all this will come together. Maybe the exemplar that Kaka'ako might have been. What would you do? What's the first step? How do you do that?
Well, I think the answer would be in expanding what Ali said. It needs to be in all of us, in all our hearts, and in all our thoughts. So it cannot be, that means it cannot be an exclusive, isolated building somewhere. It needs to be human activity based and event based. So and it really comes from, what I'm talking is comes from my own experience. I grew up in urban fabric of Hanover, Germany. I lived in a 5-story building. My parents rented a place. There were 96 steps up and down, no elevator.
This is good for mountain climbing experience.
And I was fighting over who needs milk, and my parents said we, and I said no, because I was the one to get it. And I will never forget, the 96 steps. I had dreams, just shared with my sister the other day that she had the same, that we could fly down. Our school was around the corner. There was the mom and pop shop where I got the milk. And then there was one open block that was a farmer's market. So I lived that. That's the way I grew up. And I think if we can get, I'm starting to have a farmer's market next block where I live in Waikiki. So it starts right there where the people are. And the people are not interested anymore in walking to their car or getting into their parking garage where they pay a lot of money, cranking the air conditioning on, driving to the big box store, having it all putting into coolers, coming back and bringing it to their refrigerator. They understand that this is not the way, because what they get out of it is not the healthiest, not the freshest food. So they might as well, and so I think the hope is within the people. And sure, my school is in a great phase of transitioning, and again has the people who've been there for a while working with the younger people, and then there is this increased awareness of what we call substance versus surface, because a lot has been driven surface-based. It's about the image of things, and it's not what's behind. So I think there's a great chance in this next generation. Maybe you want to talk about, you know, kindergarten, school facilities is one that you always refer to, the one in Göttingen that is actually sort of, yeah, you want to talk about that?
Well, I take it, we actually are out of time. Next time you guys come back, okay?
We just
this is an ongoing discussion.
We just invited us.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
But you know, the notion is that it's an innovative idea. It's an idea that makes the bystander, the average citizen, say, "Whoa, wished I could do that. Wished I'd done that." It's that piece of, you know, aha innovation that captures people's imaginations and makes them a little envious, makes them want to do the same thing. And I think if there were people around, I think you're one of them, both of you guys, come up with those kind of innovative ideas, that's catching. You know?
He will build it, and I will drive them there.
Exactly. It's always got to have marketing, doesn't it? What a perfect combination.
Yep.
That's Martin Despang and Ali Yamashita, a perfect combination. Thank you so much, you guys. Global style of live here on Community Matters. ThinkTech Talks on a given Friday. We will do it again.
Thank you for having us, Jay.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Aloha.